I thought I'd take the time to tell you a little bit about daily art challenges, what they are, why you might want to think about doing one, and how to go about preparing for one. I've done several month-long art challenges in my life, and so I have a few tips that might help you get started and also keep going in the middle of the month when you really, really want to quit. There are lots of different art challenges every single month. There's Creatanuary, there's Fairyary, there's Figuary, Junicorn, Sketchtober, Inktober, Drawtober, Draw December. There are so many. And there are some bigger ones as well. Strata Easel has one every January and September. And if you join, and you have to post every day for that one on your social media account and tag them, but they give away 3 plein air easels at the end, which is kind of fun. The one that I usually do is some kind of a variation of Inktober. I go a bit rogue with that. I don't do prompts or anything like that, but every day in October, I like to commit to drawing in ink, and I come up with my own themes and I create my own plan. So why should you do a 30-day art challenge or a 7-day art challenge? Or there's even a 365-day art challenge. I think the most obvious reason is that it's going to help you improve your art. I promise you that if you commit to drawing or painting every single day for 30 days, you're going to notice a difference between day 1 of the challenge and day 30 of the challenge in how well you're able to do those things. But they can also help you overcome art block. If you have art block and you're feeling a little bit stuck, doing a 30-day challenge is a good way to get out of your rut. Or if you're new to art, or if you've fallen away from art for a little bit but want to get back into it, setting a goal for a 30-day challenge and then achieving it is going to get you in the habit of creating art again. And another hidden reason that I think is really fun is that there's this solidarity with other artists. Being an artist is kind of a lonely thing. It's usually just you doing your art. And by doing a 30-day challenge that you know other people in the world are doing, even if you're not talking to other people, there's something about that energy and that knowledge that other people are doing this challenge as well that helps in times when you really want to quit. So I like that solidarity that I feel when I do a 30-day challenge. And you might ask, where do you do a 30-day challenge? Well, you can do a 30-day challenge anywhere. You can do it in your home. You can do it in your studio. If you don't feel well, you can do it from bed. If you don't have a studio and you have a very small place, you can do it on the sofa while you're watching TV with your family. You can go outside. You can do it from your car. You can do it from a cafe or a restaurant. There are loads of places where you can take your sketchbook or your easel or your little art kit and you can create art. So that's a little bit about what a 30-day challenge is and about why you might want to do it and where you might want to do it. This April, I'm planning to do Plein Airpril. It's a play on the words plein air, which means in open air, which means drawing and painting outside. And I almost didn't do it because I have a really close friend visiting for 5 days in the middle of April, and I have a lot of other stuff going on in April. But it's a challenge that I've always wanted to do, and I've never done it before. I didn't do it last year. And so this year I thought, I'm going to plan in my friend's visit. And on the days that she's here, I'm going to do something really small, 10 minutes a day. I can easily commit to 10 minutes a day and not feel like I'm taking anything away from my friend or our time together. And that's a little bit unusual for me because I do like to commit to a theme and a size and a certain amount of time when I do these challenges, but I don't want to let that hamper me. So if you are thinking, I'd like to do Plein Airpril, but I've got stuff happening, you might want to try what I'm trying, where you modify certain days to make it a little bit easier and to still make sure that you're going to succeed in completing the full 30 days. So these are my top 8 tips for completing a 30-day challenge. Tip number 1 is choose a theme. That theme might be drawing outside. It could be landscape painting from photographs or from outside. It could be drawing houses every day. It could be portraiture or interiors or flowers. I personally find it's easier if I pick a certain theme and then work towards completing that theme. It makes it a little bit easier if you know what you're going to do every day to not get bogged down in the details. I think a big problem with postponing art is that you're not in the mood and you don't know what to draw. If you have a theme and your theme is quite simple, it makes it easier to come up with ideas. So my theme for Plein Airpril is going to be painting or drawing outside every day for all of April. And that might look differently on different days. So some days it might just be drawing something in my garden. Another day it might be drawing a view from my window. Other days I'll drive someplace special and draw something that I see. The ideas will vary a little bit, but by choosing to draw something outside every day, it's easier to come up with things to draw because the world is your motivation and the world is going to be your reference. Tip number 2 is to stick with one medium. I've done challenges where I jumped around and did different things every day. And I found when I did that it was harder for me to stay motivated. It was harder to come up with ideas, and I didn't feel as satisfied by the end. In fact, I felt kind of overwhelmed for most of the challenge. So what I like to do is pick one medium and stick with it. And that goes along with that whole idea of you're going to notice improvement in your skills. So I've done challenges where I do watercolor or just ink or just oil painting. And that makes it a little bit easier as well, because if you're doing the same thing every day, you're going to have your supplies available. You're not going to have to be hunting for different things every day. It eliminates that whole stress of having to choose. And along with that is tip number 3, which is choose one size. If you're working the same size and the same shape every day, it's going to harness your ability to come up with interesting compositions for that size or shape. Through doing challenges, I discovered that I really like to work in the square format. It's not something that I was ever interested in before. I always thought that art was best if it was just like a landscape size or maybe occasionally portrait. But I've discovered this love for the square format that I'm finding it really hard to get away with even when I don't do a challenge. So if you choose one size and really commit to it, you're going to learn a lot about how to make paintings or drawings that look really good within that format. And that brings me to tip number 4, which is smaller is better. If you're going to be creating art every day for 30 days, you don't want to become overwhelmed. You want to create something that you can achieve without stressing your life. You have other things happening in your life. You probably have friends and a family and maybe a job or school. Maybe you're wrestling with chronic illness and some days you just don't feel well. So by choosing to work smaller, you're more likely to be successful. The most successful challenges for me have been when I've worked 6 inches by 6 inches or 4 inches by 6 inches, which is a postcard size. But choose a size that works for you. Choose a size that's attainable. And also by doing those sizes, I can line them up and I still feel like I'm accomplishing something. 6 by 6 seems really small, but if you're doing it every single day, it can feel a lot bigger than it is. Tip number 5 is to display your art as you go. I like to just put my artwork up on shelves all around my studio. If you don't have a studio, you can do it in your bedroom or in your living room or your dining room. You can put it anywhere, but just display your work. And there's something about seeing the collection grow that feels really good. And also around the middle of the month when you're feeling overwhelmed and you're going to want to quit, and you will want to quit. I promise you, if you do a 30-day challenge, you're going to have at least one day where you just don't want to show up. But if you have everything displayed, it really helps encourage you to keep going because you won't want to let yourself down. You'll want to finish the challenge. And another way to help yourself finish the challenge is tip number 6, which is to plan ahead. Part of this is paying attention to these other tips. When I've done a challenge with drawing, I've made sure that I had all of the pens that I wanted to use. I've made sure that I had all of my paper that was exactly the same size. I had enough of it and it was ready to go. I had a little portable art kit so that if I wanted to draw downstairs instead of in my studio, I could easily grab the kit, take everything I needed, and take it to another location and still complete my drawing for the day. If you're working in watercolors, choose what palette you want to use. Choose a limited palette and choose to work with the same colors every single day. You will become so much better at mixing colors if you choose the same colors and work with them every single day, that it will amaze you. So choose the palette that you're going to use, fill up all the colors, make sure that you're going to have enough so you're not going to run out, choose the brushes that you're going to use and the paper that you're going to use and get it all ready. Put it in an art kit if you want to, if you're going to be painting plein air. And then you're always ready to go. It makes it so much easier. If you're working in oil painting, decide on the size, decide on the surface. I personally like to work on panels. So I purchase as many panels as I'm going to need, and I gesso them and I sand them and I gesso them again, and I get them all ready in a stack so that midway through the challenge, I'm not going to run out and have to spend time gessoing things. All of those little things are going to take away from you being able to create art, and they're also going to be an excuse for you to drop out, which you don't want to do. Tip number 7 is to time yourself. Maybe you have an open month and you have an unlimited amount of time to do this challenge, but for most people, life gets in the way. So if you set a certain amount of time, or even a range of time, 1 hour to 2 hours, 10 minutes to 30 minutes, whatever amount of time that you realistically think you can devote each day for an entire month to creating art, choose that time. If you have a day where you're really into it and you decide to do more, that's great. But if you have those days where you're stressed or you're busy or you don't want to do it, if you have a lower bar set for yourself, it's going to be a lot easier to achieve that bar. And also, don't expect yourself to create good art every day. You probably won't. Most people won't. It's not about creating the perfect art or even good art. It's just about completing the challenge, immersing yourself in art for an entire month, and showing up. And finally, tip number 8 is to get yourself an art buddy. Find somebody, whether you know them in real life or you know them from online, and make them your art buddy. Somebody who's going to do the challenge with you. Somebody who on a really bad day when you want to drop out, you can send them a message, you can call them, and you can tell them that you want to quit. And they can help motivate you. You can motivate each other. You can share your art with each other. Some of these challenges encourage people to share their work on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or TikTok. But if you're new to art, that can seem really intimidating, and it certainly is not a prerequisite for doing any 30-day art challenge. But if you just choose one friend who feels like a safe place for you, and you feel that you can show them your work if you're not happy with it and they're not going to judge you or make you feel bad, that's a really good friend to have for this challenge. One advantage of choosing one of the more popular challenges like Inktober or the Strata Easel Challenge or the Plein Airpril Challenge is you can just search those hashtags, and every day you can see different people who are creating art along with you. And if you can't find a buddy, I'll be your buddy. You can tag me on Instagram and I'll come and I'll look at what you're doing. You can send me a private message on Instagram if you don't want to share it with the world. And you can know that every day in April, I'm going to be creating a drawing or a painting, and I'll be there in the trenches with you. So stop watching this video, go get your art supplies ready, and let's get ready to do this Plein Airpril together. What have you got to lose? I hope you have a beautiful day and happy painting.